Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Whatever, Whenever, the show where we talk about whatever we want, whenever we want. I am Robin.
And this is the Mentok, the prophet, YouTube savior, the whenever of this little situation.
And
I haven't done the full intro in a while.
Yeah, we haven't really been doing that until recently.
Normally I do some weird stuff at the beginning, but I feel like I stopped for like weeks on end, and now it's no longer a tradition. So that's bothering me. We got to change that.
Well, maybe next time.
Maybe next time. So, I guess to start off the podcast, because I'm actually curious about this too. You just finished an interview.
Oh, yes.
I would like to know with whom and why. What's been going on?
Yeah, so I literally just got done talking to him. It's actually Mike Jaret of RunningWithScissors. He is one of the people who worked on Postal 2. In fact, he's actually in Postal 2 as the boss.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And like I haven't had a chance to play that game, but like I feel like that's like a very like a cult classic. And I'm not sure what the appeal was just watching the trailer, but like it's one of those things that I've always just wanted to pick up and try.
Yeah, it's like a very interesting game. Like, depending on who you are, it's either one of the worst games ever made, or it's one of the funniest games of all time. It's got
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally about going postal. Am I right?
Yeah, it's about going postal. You can complete the game like without killing anyone, but doing that is like really boring.
The pacifist route, if you will.
The pacifist route, like a whole.
Toby Fox, I see you. I see where you got this from.
It'll be funny if Toby Fox came out one day and was like, "Yeah, Postal 2 inspired the pacifist route of Undertale."
I feel like everything inspired Undertale to an extent.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. So you guys just got done doing an interview.
Yeah. We talked about all sorts of things. I was gonna ask him stuff about Postal 1, but then he very quickly said that he wasn't around when that was being made. So I was like, well, fuck, there goes those questions. So I kind of just improvised. But yeah, no, it was fun. We talked about Postal 2. We talked about all the expansions to that. We talked a little bit about the movie and Postal 4. It was cool. Really good time.
There's a Postal 3?
Yeah, there is. It's just not good. And it was made by Akela, a.k.a. Russian Electronic Arts, before they went out of business.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's like a whole... Just look up this video by Civi11 titled Postal 3 Dead Baby Jokes, and that's all you need to know.
I always thought it was I mean, there seems to be a lot more people involved than I thought. That's kind of why I mentioned that, because it seemed to be passed from one person to another for all three iterations. So I guess the lightning in the bottle was Postal 2.
Yeah, it's interesting because like the first game is like this. You're like playing as like a dude who like actually goes crazy, right? And is like an actual nutcase. And then in the second game, they like decided that they just wanted to do something fun, so they got rid of the whole like really dark angle that the first game had and threw in like a bunch of out there comedy, like allowing your character to pee on people. And just all this other crazy stuff.
Did they keep up that tradition in Postal 2?
Postal 2? Yeah, that's what I was just talking about.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the first one.
No, the first one was just a guy who goes postal and starts killing people, and then at the end of the game, he's locked up in a mental asylum.
Got it.
The second game is just full blown like comedy, and the game starts out with like Vince Desi, the CEO of RunningWithScissors, firing the postal dude from RunningWithScissors. And then a bunch of protesters stormed the building you know, because like they're protesting, saying that like video games are bad and stuff. You know, like the violent video game people.
Right.
Yeah, it's it's actually I don't know. It's not really that clever of a joke, but it gets me laughing. Which is that like they're like out there just yelling, "Games are bad. They make you bad," and standing in a circle over and over, and these like protesters are like they storm the Running with Scissors head offices with guns and stuff because they want to shut down the violent video games while acting very violent themselves.
I catch the irony here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I honestly think that's the right approach for a video game of that caliber, I should say, like, to just kind of take, like, a comedic aspect, which kind of takes away from, like, a lot of the shock value, you know what I mean? If that makes sense. Like, the shock value is still there, but, like, if you make it funny, it becomes less of a controversy, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. It's like yeah, I don't know. When I asked Mike about like why they put themselves in Postal 2, and he literally just said, you know, we didn't want to just make fun of other people. We wanted to make fun of ourselves too. We wanted people to be able to kill and piss on us, just like everyone else in the game. And
yeah, I mean, if they can do it to you, then like,
yeah,
you know, that's why. Yeah, I mean, you're making fun of yourself at that point. You're putting yourself on the line for the game. So hey,
yeah, and I
think it's a good approach.
Yeah, they made Mike a whole like boss too.
Well, you piqued my interest. I like whenever I have time, because I feel like there's just way too many games right now. I think we talked about most of them. But maybe like when I'm just like burnt out of all this open world, I almost said garbage, and I really don't want to call it that, but like I'm saying that because it's open world games just eat up so much of my time, and I think that's the point. But when I decide to like do a refresher, I always get like an indie game and just run that for a little bit, because it kind of helps to like just be a little bit less convoluted, and you know, that Postal seems like one of those games I'll just pick up and try, because yeah, lack of time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
So yeah, I mean, like, how, where can they find your interview, by the way?
It's on my Newgrounds. It'll be linked in the description.
There you go. So make sure you follow your boy on Newgrounds. This dude's holding it down over there, you know, trying to revive it as a, well, I mean, that's kind of a, I don't think that's the right word. But he's holding down the Newgrounds platform. You know what I mean? So go check him out.
There's a whole bunch of other people who are doing way better than me on that site, but thank you.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I meant. Like when I say revive, I know there's a lot of stuff happening on Newgrounds these days, because there was a point where it's kind of declined for a while, and now it's picking back up. So yeah, you know, it wouldn't be fair to say. Yeah.
I'm also working on another guy too. He's really busy, so I've been just feeding him questions over time, but I'm looking forward to that one too. So that's cool.
Yeah, I'd like to see your success in reaching out to some of these folks and like actually getting interviews with them.
I think the best. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna just say, like, as we as we discussed last podcast, like it's kind of like shocking to actually get support from people that you think would never reach back out to you.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, no, I'm like, I don't know. I think one of the best advice that I've ever gotten, that I only recently started following, is from this guy called Nardwar. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, very popular in the hip hop interviewing community.
Yeah.
Just so everyone knows his shtick, he does his research. He knows more about some of these rappers than they know themselves.
Yeah.
And he'll have like this kind of a goofy like personality, but at the same time he'll just throw these facts at him, and they all wonder how the hell he knows these things.
Yeah, and he does like more than just hip hop artists too. He does like all musical artists, and he also even interviews politicians sometimes. But Like, yeah, he knows like a whole lot about these people, and he'll give them gifts related to things that no one would know about them. But
so is that the approach you're taking now? Like that's the plan?
No, not yet. I'm not that skilled. But basically, he did this TED talk back when they were good, and the message of his TED talk was just ask people, because you never know if they're gonna say yes or not. And like,
right,
that's because he was like giving all these examples about like like this is what I did, this is what like he'll show like a clip from one of his past interviews, and he'll be like, well, how did you know that? I asked people, like, if like what about this stuff. Like, he asked people behind the scenes and all that.
right.
So yeah, just ask people. You never know what they're gonna say. Even if you think the answer is no, guess what? Postal 2 got Gary Coleman to cameo in the game.
See, there you go. Like, that's actually, that kind of shows how old that game is.
Yeah,
think about it.
Yeah.
Man, like, anytime I think of like the early 2000s, it feels like right around the corner for me, because that's like when I was a thriving college student, and now,
dude, I feel the same.
Time has passed.
I feel the same thing about the early 2010s. I'm like, oh yeah, that wasn't that long ago. Five Nights at Freddy's has only been out for about a year or so. No,
can you believe
it's been
like
10 years?
Can you believe like the Obama years is a saying now? Like,
oh, it doesn't feel right. It really doesn't.
It doesn't. So yeah, for everyone that is tuning in, we're actually recording. I'm dating this episode basically. We're recording right before PlayStation has a new State of Play coming up, so they're versions of Nintendo Direct. So as I guess to the date of this podcast, like it'll be happening tomorrow afternoon for us.
Which is
so I just wanted
timing.
to read a little bit
of. It's just such perfect timing. We're always too early. By the time we talk about it in the next episode, it's going to be too late. There's already going to be 7,000 videos on it. No one's going to give a fuck what we have to say, because we're fucking nobody loser hats who don't know anything.
Right. Exactly. As Robin said, this probably does not mean anything to anyone. If you're listening to this, it is the things have already been revealed, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, hey, future you. Wasn't it a dope State of Play? Like, I knew they were gonna announce that big title.
Oh yeah,
and I'm so glad that it happened.
Yeah, you know what, future Mentok, I really am. I'm just really disappointed that X franchise didn't show up this year. I know.
I really
thought.
I thought we were gonna get Legend of Dragoon 2. I thought we were gonna get a new Ape Escape, and I also thought that we were gonna get a sequel to PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale.
Well, hey,
but I guess we're never
gonna
get that.
You know what? Since we've already seen it, obviously, can we just talk about how awesome it was that Konami went up on stage and said, "Guys, we're sorry for being the fucking worst company in the entire gaming industry. We're giving Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill to Kojima Productions and shutting down our company." Wasn't that awesome?
I know they didn't say the whole shutting down their company stuff.
Well,
because,
yeah,
they have their fitness centers to run.
Oh yeah, true.
I do like that apology that they gave us, and props to Sony for stepping in politically and handling all of that garbage for us.
Yeah.
And I'm a little disappointed that they don't have any updates on any PlayStation VR 2 titles. That's basically what happened. But like, that would be my first VR headset. I know people are like PC advocates for that, but like, I'm interested to see what the new headset's gonna do and how those games are gonna play. But this show is only 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So
and I mean,
I guess they couldn't get around to that.
Yeah. And I mean, even for just 20 minutes, I mean, you gotta admit those new PlayStation Move controllers. Oh my God, I didn't think that they could make it actually look good, but from what it seems like they're actually like, much better. It seems like they might even have better motion controls than the Wii, if you can believe it.
Well, the Wii had the best motion controls of all time. Also, shout out to Sony for announcing Bloodborne Remastered. I've been waiting for that shit for the longest time, and now finally, you still won't get it on PC.
Yeah, and I mean, I just thought it was brilliant that they said that they were going to be releasing that alongside like Castlevania Symphony of the Night HD. It's like two cool little horror games together, or horror adjacent, I should say.
I'm not about the HD remake though, because I prefer the original sprite work. So there you go.
You don't like the cool stylized 3D models?
No, it just lacks style.
It lacks the charm of the original.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's hey, if any of that stuff comes true, go ahead to youtube.com/the Mentok and check out the rest of my prophecies. They're absolutely amazing. I'm the only prophet on YouTube right now. So there you go.
Okay, but no, watch them actually have Bloodborne remastered.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
right? We'll see. I can't reveal my secrets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anyway, that state of play will be occurring. I mean, seeing it's only like 20 minutes, I think it's just gonna be like one big announcement and then like maybe like a third party montage of stuff. But that's just kind of my opinion on that. Like normally when I hear that Nintendo Direct is gonna be 40 minutes, I know something's gonna slap.
Yeah.
So that's when I tune into those. State of play seems to be very short-lived most of the time. Like I haven't seen a very long state of play since I think like the initial PS5 one, and then the one where they kind of talked about PS5 games after that. But I haven't seen much since. So, but I mean, hey, there's a lot to chew on in games right now. As we listed them before, Pokemon Arceus, Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West. Triangle Strategy came out this week. I actually got that, and I got to play like a few chapters last night. I love it. If you're a Final Fantasy Tactics fan, I would say check it out. I mean, it's very political, but it's a dope little game. Looks great. And then next week we have Stranger in Paradise Final Fantasy Origins, the edgiest Final Fantasy of all time, which I'm looking forward to.
Is that the one? Is that the one where the guy says that he's gonna kill Chaos?
Yeah, that's finally coming to us now. So
love it.
The marketing is everywhere. Can I talk about that game for a second because it's
ahead,
hilarious?
Man, go ahead.
Everybody's like, "Yo, what is this game?" And I just love the marketing so much. Like, I mean, you can tell that they had no direction as to how this game was going to be, and I enjoy every second of it. It's not like I'm even watching a dumpster fire happen because the game is fun. I played like 2 of the demos, and it's really fun. If you guys have played Neo before by Team Ninja, they've made 2 games, and the second one is much better than the first, but it's pretty much like a Soulsborne, but it's kind of derived itself away from the genre a little bit and like has its own charm and like, they have a lot of quality of life changes that, Elden Ring and the Souls games don't have. So I think it's worth checking out one of the Neo games. But if you are a Final Fantasy fan, I think that this is kind of like a very important game because I think it's a nice little spin-off. Not only does it's an interesting retelling of the very first game, even though there's barely any story there to really like talk about. Some would argue it's like one of the best stories in like the franchise, but they're kind of doing a retelling of that, and the marketing has just been like crazy grunge rock music, and then the second trailer is like My Way by Frank Sinatra playing in the background while this guy is like trying to figure out how to kill Chaos, and then like all the friends are just like, hey, like I'll go with you, and then you see him absolutely annihilating and brutalizing these monsters. Like, it's just such a weird marketing tactic. And he has the same, like, scorned face on the entire time. So everyone has no idea, like, what the tone's supposed to be and if it's supposed to be comedic and if they're making fun of themselves. The answer is yes. Just, even if they're not, just go in there with the game is fun. So don't go in there with, like, this is going to be the greatest Final Fantasy story ever told. You have to go in there with, this is like a homage to the late 2000s, early 2000s.
It genuinely feels like Hot Topic trash. and I love it.
There's a particular scene where they take on this boss, and it turns out like it's the very first boss. And it turns out to be some girl who was just like, yeah, chaos doesn't exist. Like, chaos is only the embodiment of evil in our hearts, and our paranoia of this thing is what's going to bring us to our downfall. So you shouldn't feel like you need vengeance against chaos because it doesn't exist. And then there's like silence, and the main character looks at her and just says, bullshit. Turns around, sticks his headphones in his ear, and Limp Bizkit plays as they walk outside the castle. Nobody says anything about it. They all just proceed to leave the castle. Then when they get outside, he takes his iPod or whatever it is out, press stop, removes the headphones from his ears, and then continues to talk to them. It's so like awkward. Like,
That's fucking...
I would recommend anyone to go check that scene out. I'm pretty sure I've talked about it on the podcast before, but that game is coming out next week. I'm going to be buying it. I'm excited to play it. I want that injected into my veins.
You got to tell me how it is, man. It sounds amazing.
Honestly, I don't mind when people take themselves too seriously. I don't know if they... I feel like the American or the Western side is like marketing this like tongue in cheek, but the Japanese developers like created this to be 100% serious.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, honestly.
So that's kind of how I feel about it. But I'm gonna sit there and just laugh at the cutscenes, and I hope they just leaned it into it 100%. That's my hope.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we were originally talking about state of play, but there's a lot going on. So just announcements in general, like 2022 is just packed with, I think, things that were affected by COVID. So now like there's this abundance of releases, which is great for gaming in general, but it's just like, man, my goddamn wallet.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. Yeah, what's something that you're looking forward to that's coming up aside from Final Fantasy Edgelord Edition?
Yeah, like I think my big games for this year are probably gonna be Splatoon 3. I honestly, every Xenoblade that I play, like I don't look back at it too deeply, but anytime like I think about my experiences with the first 3 games, it always makes me look back in a certain sense of nostalgia, and I really like those games. But if anyone asked me what my top 5 series would be, Xenoblade wouldn't be in it. But now I'm kind of excited that one is ready to go and ready to ship. I still think Breath of the Wild is not coming out till next year.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on that. And I'm excited to see like the 2 Pokemon games. So I think like what Nintendo's bringing some fire this year. That's my opinion. I don't know if there's a lot of PlayStation 5 releases I'm looking forward to. Maybe next year, unless Sony like drops some bombs tomorrow or within the next few months, which is totally possible. Like they can kill it, holiday season. And then of course Sonic Frontiers, which is dropping in holiday 2022. I will have to like stream that on my channel. I think that's a necessity.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say Sonic.
I left that for last.
Yep.
Can you imagine if it like brings back people into the franchise like Elden Ring style? Like I would love to see them do it right. Like the open world stuff. It would be surreal seeing people like repost clips on Twitter of them like exploring the world and like things that they've come across and stuff like that. Like that's my hopes. I'm not putting my expectations out there, but like I would love to see.
I hope it does
that mainstream type of stuff too.
I hope it does well. I hope it's good, but at the same time, I'm a Sonic fan. I'm not getting my expectations high.
Yeah, that's basically how we feel. We're all gonna buy it. We're all gonna support it.
We're all gonna be like we're all gonna buy it. We're all gonna support it. We're all gonna be like, yep, this isn't as nearly as good as they hyped it up to be, and then we're gonna be like, well, yes, the fans will mod it to be better. I don't know.
Robin, I want an 85 on Metacritic. That's all I want, is an 85 on Metacritic.
You're gonna be fucking Obsidian when they made New Vegas and get an 84 now.
Yo, I remember when they dropped it and everyone was like, man, this is the buggiest Fallout of all time. It's bricking my PS3 and yada, yada, yada. Everyone hated that game. Now everyone thinks it's the best Fallout game of all time.
Yeah, and they got they got screwed out of bonuses by 1 point on Metacritic.
Was that what it was?
Do you not know that? Yeah, no. Bethesda was like, if you get an 85 on Metacritic for this game, we'll give you all bonuses. And they got an 84 on Metacritic.
I just recalled that story.
Yeah. I guarantee you there was probably Todd messing around behind the scenes or someone.
Man, fuck Bethesda for that.
Honestly, yeah. Like if it's an 84, just give them the money at that point. Like you crunched them for like 2 years to make that game, and it's ended up being better than every other Fallout game you've made, Bethesda, and you got really salty about that.
Well, speaking of which, like I heard that they're planning New Vegas 2 with Microsoft.
I'm not gonna put stock in that.
Me neither. I think if you guys are looking forward to that, you'll probably see it in the next 10 years or so.
10 years, 20, 30, 70, 80, 2077, Cyberpunk. I don't know.
I feel like that's the sad thing about series, though. Like, game design took a lot of work, but the timelines were just a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Especially when I was like a kid, right? So things would just come out every 6 months to a year. Like there's 3 big Final Fantasy games on PlayStation that came out within like a year and a half of each other. So can you imagine 3 full Final Fantasy games in the span of what? 7 was 97, 8 was 99, and 9 was 2001.
Wow.
And yeah. So like, and those are, well, I mean, arguably 8, but 2 of those are like critically acclaimed and everybody adores those games. There's a huge Final Fantasy 8, fandom, but
I just love Gunblades, man. Can you blame me?
I mean, they love Gunblades too. Like they've used Gunblades in so many things after the initial one. And those Gunblades make a lot more sense though after the fact. The first one, I used to read that explanation over and over and I still didn't get what they were trying to explain. Like, how does this weapon actually work?
Yeah.
I think they just designed it first and figured out how it worked later.
Yeah, honestly. I don't blame them. If it looks cool, then why not?
But, like, yeah, I mean, around that time, like, graphics were definitely a thing. And, you can only be as good as the hardware that you're on. So even at that time, I'm sure it took, like, a painstaking amount of time to get, like, certain graphics in order and,
Yeah, I
think drawing out, like, backgrounds and things like that. But just to think that games just had those type of development cycles. And now whenever we see, like, a trailer at E3 or something, everybody's assumption is, like, man, when the fuck's that coming out? 5 years from now?
To be fair, I think part of it is that, like, back in the day, they just crunched because they didn't know if the industry they were in was going to be viable or not. So
right.
they all just, like, were like, okay, let's get this game out in 6 months.
They definitely crunched. And Squaresoft, like, I think is just an anomaly because not only were those games releasing, but there's, like, a shit ton of other PlayStation games that were coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
So I can't even fathom what that studio was like. I mean, I don't know how many people were working there at the time, but I'm sure they were a lot smaller than Square Enix right now.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to just think back on. And like, same with Sega, though. They did crunch as well. Like, I've done a video on, like, the background behind Sonic 3 and stuff like that. And that's a very old video, actually. That's when I started doing more informative pieces. But I found out that they pretty much, like, scrapped whatever they had planned for Sonic 3. And they had to, like, start over. But they had to be done by, like, early 1994 for some McDonald's deal. So,
oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so to get that done, they had to, like, scrap the game. And people think that, I mean, of course they had a lot of assets from Sonic 2 that they were working with. But people think that development didn't really officially start until like July or the summer of 1993.
That's insane.
So, and then it dropped in April. So
Yeah.
that doesn't like account for the marketing and getting all the cartridges ready, manufacturing, and all of like the slow processes that probably took place in the 90s.
Yeah.
That is an insane. That game should have failed.
It should.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what type of cocaine those guys were snorting, but like it worked. So
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
So I guess I don't want to like downplay crunch because there definitely was that, and like I don't want to promote that now. Like we shouldn't be crunching studios, especially now that there's a lot of money going to the industry in general.
Yeah. Like I don't know. It's just ever since like I've become friends with devs like Andrew and Dallin and stuff, I've kind of like come to just realize that all those takes I had back in the day about devs and stuff were the most brain dead shit ever, and I didn't know what I was talking about, and past Robin needed to shut the fuck up. Because like I don't know, it's like I know people like keep saying like, oh, game development is hard work, but like it is. It's like it's like if people like went up to like a construction worker or something and said, "Hey, just build the building faster." It's easy, you know?
I'm sure they do that to them too, though.
Yeah.
That's probably like I live in pretty much a metropolitan area, and I hear these people working at 4 or 5 in the morning. I know that's against city rules, but they're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Which I can go report that, but whatever. Like I think that's the crunch time there. So like, it's, but yeah, not to stray away from your point. Like, it's interesting that now that you're interviewing more of these developers, like you kind of get into their head and their creative process a little bit more. I think like when it comes to the creative process too, like that day where you're just not feeling it and just everything is just dead. It's awful. Like it's like one of the worst days because you're just like, man, I just lost an entire day. But I think that in the grand scheme of things, it's important to take that day and not beat yourself up over it. And I think crunch, essentially, like I think you are packing in a little too much mental energy from your team when you're doing that. Even though you do get the results faster, it's good to kind of manage those deadlines and make sure that the market will understand, the gamers will understand, but there's some risk to that too, right? Because you're building up more hype over time too, and if you like delay it for 2 years or so, the hype's going to destroy you like Cyberpunk,
Yeah. Oh. Hey, Mentok, do you hear that?
Yeah.
Do you hear that thunder and lightning that Ricky edited in?
Is that what that was?
Yeah, that's definitely what that is. I feel like we have a bad omen coming. I feel like something happened recently about a company that we haven't talked about in a while.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
It can't be.
It is.
Not Konami.
Oh no, not them. Not them this time. Ladies and gentlemen, the segment that we milked when our podcast first began is back. It's time for What the Hell Has Activision Done Now?
We didn't milk it in the same way that
some other people did.
Yeah. Well, no, I meant to make a joke.
Oh no,
yeah,
no,
I got caught stealing milk.
Yeah, no, I know where you were. I realized it. Second.
That joke fell flat on its ass because I didn't know how to like fully deliver that.
Yeah,
but whatever.
You got like stuck between should I deliver this joke or not?
Yeah, I was gonna commit. Fuck it, But like,
yeah. Then
I got caught up in the actual verbiage and it didn't work out. So.
Yeah, that's fair.
Comedy 101, guys.
Oh.
Anyway, go ahead, Robin. Lead the segment.
So, yes, for those of you who are not aware, we will do the briefest of summaries that I can manage, which is Activision Blizzard.
Hold on. Just a quick interruption. Ricky, can you put Goombas waddling on the screen from the Super Mario Bros. Movie from 1993. Um, I honestly think this is what the Activision employees look like sometimes. when I see when I read the things that they do, I picture these things waddling. So as Robin explains, just kind of have those guys up there, you know, in whatever order you please and whatever easiest for you to edit. All right, continue, Robin.
Okay, so these like basically what happened is Activision Blizzard had a bunch of like sexual misconduct thrown their way. There was a dude at Blizzard who stole someone's breast milk and they had to put a lock on the fridge in the break room. There was Bobby Kotick telling his secretary or not secretary, like the flight attendant on his plane that he's gonna kill her family for reporting his pilot's like sexual misconduct
On voicemail.
on voicemail, by the way. Yeah. Oh God, what else? There's just so much horrible shit they've done. There's just a lot. Like,
well, we thought they were gonna.
They had
Go
the
ahead.
Bill Cosby room. They had the Bill Cosby room.
Oh yeah, they had the
Yeah.
Cosby room. That was the Blizzard side.
Yeah, that was the Blizzard side. But yeah, one of the biggest parts of this that was horrible was they had someone, a woman who, you know, got harassed so much, and they had employees like sharing around like naked pictures of her and like bragging about seeing them and stuff, and it got so bad that she ended up taking her life while on a business trip.
Yeah.
And-
So that was one of the bigger controversies that actually came out of this, and I'm actually just interested to see where this lawsuit's gonna go. Like,
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the family of that person has now filed a lawsuit against Blizzard and is suing for, basically being the reason why she took her life. And it's disgusting, and also, no, it's just disgusting that Blizzard has tried to push blame onto the family of the person who took her life by saying that they think it's gross that they're using her suicide in this way when they're the ones who caused it.
right, and like for that particular situation, I'm wondering like how the legal setup is gonna work there. Like, I guess Microsoft is still in the process of acquiring them. And there's like a lot of news surrounding that too, because apparently we talked about this on the podcast like, you know, many episodes ago. Apparently, this is not news to you guys, but you know, Microsoft initially, Activision was looking to sell, and it seemed that Microsoft came in at a very early stage, right? And you know, you plan it out months in advance, and you know, you work on those things. There was news that came out that deal was like more or less a bailout, you know? So it happened a lot later than people think that it actually did. People thought that things were just happening and people were talking for a while, and then like all the controversy came out, and then the Microsoft deal closed. That's not the order of events. Like, the controversies actually happened first. Bobby Kotick said, I want to pull out. I'm trying to sell this place because the stock is tanking. So here, you can buy it at the low price of X billion dollars. And then made an agreement with Phil Spencer, who is the leader of, you know, Microsoft, because it would have gone to competitors at the time. So, and it was not Sony that made a bid. There was like unnamed companies that made a bid, and I can only guess it was like either Facebook or Amazon. Those are the only two that I could think of that could really, really benefit and change the market if they bought Activision. I'm not going to propose Google. I don't think Google would have made that move. But those are the ones I'm guessing. But the names were never released. So it was between something like that. It wasn't Sony. And So Microsoft went and basically bought it because I think that was like one of their only options, really. So that basically happened. Like, this was all a bailout. I want to just correct the record because I'm pretty sure I said in a previous podcast that I am positive that this type of deal takes months and months and months to go through and months of planning. It was pretty last minute. So if that says anything else about Activision, I just want to, set the record straight there.
Yeah.
So apparently, actually, just to put it in more perspective, I think Sony and Bungie were talking about acquisitions like way before Microsoft made this deal. So,
I see.
Yeah, if you think one was a response to the other, that's entirely false.
Yeah. Which I guess, probably blaming ourselves for pushing that narrative earlier episodes ago. But
yeah, I mean, again, I wasn't speaking it as fact, and I was just kind of like speculating.
Yeah.
Because, you don't really know what's going on with these companies unless you read a report or something. So yeah, that record was corrected a little bit later, and it looks like, they were in talks after all the controversy. So I guess Bobby Kotick took the fuck it approach. I'm out. I'm just going to sell this shit and then just live a great life. And that is what he's doing. He's been being paid out $400 and something million in addition to all the money he already has. And you're basically rewarded for being an asshole, which...
that sucks.
It really sucks, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, we read these comic books and things like that. Like, we watch TV shows and things, and you see the hero, like, coming out on top, and it seems like that's the wrong cliche. I don't want to sound pessimistic about it, but, like, you see stories like this all the time, more often than the ones that we see on TV,
Yeah.
And it sucks to see,
Yeah, it really does. I hope that the family wins the lawsuit just to stick it to the company. But
I would like that, and I would like a little bit like of some accountability from Bobby Kotick himself too. Like, I'm not sure if that lawsuit's going to involve him directly.
Yeah, I don't know either, but yeah.
But I mean, if that would be one small solace for that family at least, I would like to see them get through that and win that. So, they have our support here on the podcast. Fuck Activision in its current state. Mm-hmm. I honestly think that they have a lot of great franchises from the Activision to Blizzard side, so I really hope that they get their shit together. I think that Microsoft is honestly taking steps to handle that. But I think it's something that's embedded in the culture at that workplace, based on all the news that we've heard, right? So it's kind of hard to root that out if it's baked into your culture. So it's gonna take some work, but I think that they're in good hands at Microsoft, because I know they don't play that at Microsoft. So, my hopes are that they turn that ship around.
Yeah, I hope they manage to get all the awful people out of that company and set the thing straight. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have really much else to add. Just fuck this company.
And let's finish this off with on a good note. So as we're recording it, today is International Women's Day.
Oh yeah, it is.
And I think since we're a gaming podcast, I want you to share one of your favorite female characters, whether it's like best written or best designed, best executed. Because I see that we have a lot more women leads in gaming these days, which I think is a great step in being more inclusive.
Yeah.
Any standout characters for you?
Let's see here. What's the green-haired girl from Final Fantasy IV?
Terra.
Terra, yeah. I thought Terra was a good character. I have to finish that game, but yeah, I really liked her as a character. I think it's interesting
Actually,
that like, what? Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say SquareSoft was like ahead of the game with female leads at the time.
Yeah, wasn't there one in Final Fantasy VI as well that was good?
So, sorry. So Final Fantasy IV is Rydia.
Rydia. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then Final Fantasy VI is Terra, but then I think she shares the spotlight with Celeste, who's the blonde one.
Yeah.
Like their plots take a pretty big chunk of both, of those games. So like, I like how they're written.
Yeah. I think you know that I have this problem where like I'll remember a character but I won't forget I'll forget their name. Chrono Trigger, the purple-haired girl.
Luca.
Luca, yes. Luca.
Shout out to Luca.
Yeah. Shout outs to Luca. Luca is an amazing character, and I like that she is one of the only two characters that have a unique interaction with Chrono when, spoilers, he gets brought back to life.
I haven't played I didn't play a lot with her on the team.
Yeah.
But I think that she's the closest to Chrono as well because like they grew up like right down the street for one another.
Yeah,
so.
they're like childhood friends.
And she's like the cool nerdy one that's who she I don't know if you've watched Tenchi Muyo
No, I haven't.
at all.
No.
Okay, there's like a scientist character in that show. But her name's Washu, but she reminds me a lot of Luca. But I kind of like that whole nerdy scientific type, like, hey, like I have a solution to this problem and I figured this out, So
And I love her like personal character arc where like she gets sent back in time to when her mom had that accident and she has the ability to save her. And
yeah.
And like even if you don't save her, like Robo still says like, hey, it's not your fault,
Yeah, I think that was a nice arc too. Like I think we've seen that from time to time, like, oh, you can't change the past and that's just but I think there's like a certain amount of conditions that you have to fulfill to actually save her mother in that situation.
Yeah.
But both outcomes are like rather realistic. Yeah. I kept reloading till I saved. I forgot what you had to do it, but I saved her. I'm just like, yeah, I can't let this go.
Yeah. Yeah, which I mean just goes to show how good of like an impact that had, like just to show how like you didn't save her and you saw how upset that made her and then you just wanted to go back and keep trying to save her mom.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are good picks. Old school picks though.
Yeah, they are
but
old
good.
school. What's
good nonetheless.
Yeah, what's a good new one for you on your end?
So interestingly enough, like I was gonna pick some older ones as well. Well, okay. So this one is kind of new, but this portrayal of the character is like the best one. So Samus in Metroid Dread. Even though she doesn't talk, like just the energy that she just goes in with the entire time, the confidence, like just the overall coolness. It made Metroid Dread one of my favorite games because, if you follow the timeline for Metroid, this is like the latest in the series. So she's super experienced at this point and she just looks tired of all the shit. So I just, you can see it in like they did a great job portraying this and, she only talks maybe like twice. But just the overall, like her facial expressions that you can barely see behind her mask and stuff like that, they're meaningful. And like her actions, her body language, it's all very powerful. And I loved how she was portrayed in Metroid Dread. And I think like a less new character would be Yuna from Final Fantasy X. Like that's a character that I feel kind of fights for the role of main character. Like you could argue that she's the main focus of that game, even though you play as like Titus or Titus, however you pronounce his name, because everybody had their mind blown when it was actually Titus. But yeah, Yuna is like basically given this mission to, give up her life as a summoner to stop this evil in the world, and just seeing like all of the the progression of her character. Like, she starts very shy and quiet. She doesn't speak up for herself. She's just given this role and follows the path as she's told. And then toward like the middle of the game, you see her like with the influence of Tidus at some points, and like all the other people who are around her. It's not just him. So I wouldn't say it's like, this big strong man that came to save her, because, she has all types of figures around her that, empower her to kind of have a stronger approach, and like, no, I don't have to do this just because you told me this. These are things that we need to ask questions about, like, why are we going to keep going down this spiral of death when it does nothing? It's just more and more death, and then I have to go out there and sacrifice myself for what end? So just seeing like that growth of that character and stuff like that, I really enjoy Yuna. And I guess like Final Fantasy has a lot of great women in there. Like Tifa is great in the remake as well. Both Tifa and Aerith are pretty awesome in there too.
Yeah.
I can gush forever about them, but
Yeah. And there's like obviously we're missing out on Lara Croft. Like
the Pioneer, right?
Pioneer, yeah. From Tomb Raider. She's like the original badass female in gaming, aside from Samus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we talking about the triangle boob era, or like the most recent one?
I don't know. I think they're unique and interesting. I haven't really played much of those games, I will admit, but like, I don't know. I guess the newer games are a bit more realistic, but
yeah.
In the older games, she fought dinosaurs, so I mean, come on.
Yeah, and like, I wanted to finish Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I never got through that. Yeah. I need to do that, but I did play like the first two, and I love the reimagining of the series because it feels very natural, in comparison to the original PlayStation games.
Yeah.
I think the original, like, she was just supposed to be like this badass and stuff like that, which had quite the impression on the gaming world, and I think that's great. But I think the newer series had a lot of potential to show that growth, and I think that it just took the character in a different direction. But at the same time, like, she's ridiculously, I don't know, like, I feel like the developers like, yeah, she's supposed to be kind of like scared and going through a lot, and this is gonna make her like a stronger character. But like, when you play that game, you're like killing people with like a pickaxe in their face, and like she's freaking brutal. And then like I think she just reacts to the first kill, but after that, like, nothing else. Like, you're just gonna be taking out guys. Like, she is vicious in those 3 games. Like, just an absolute beast. And I don't think it's like totally addressed in the actual narrative. It's one of those things that you're kind of supposed to just, it's part of gameplay, so let me just kind of assume it's not happening, but it's kind of happening.
Yeah.
It's just a weird like gray area, like same with Drake though, to an extent. Like, Drake kills a lot of people in Uncharted, and we don't really address that.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah,
I mean, hey, it's okay because they're all pretty bad people, right?
I guess so. It's like I don't know. It's kind of like how
I say that with a hint of sarcasm, but yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like how in 3 Houses you have like have like your character like slaughter one of their classmates, and then they'll be like, yeah, I learned something. Or like Hilda especially, like, you can never just butcher like her like former classmate, and then she'll level up and go, Hilda,
yeah.
Hilda.
You know what game actually addresses that very well? Like Final Fantasy 14. I've brought up several Final Fantasies today out of like, this is not my intention, but like, you'll play certain bosses, right? And at the end of like the big boss of the dungeon, normally you celebrate with all your party members. And I can't tell at what part of the game, but of course there's like emotional boss battles that happen, and you're like the victory theme will play, but your character will grimace and he'll like, not celebrate, and like his or her face will just show like, discomfort in what was done, so it's not like I'm celebrating because I took down this person. So I thought that's like I'm glad that they put that in there. More games should do that, and they should be more conscious of who's being fought if there's going to be celebration.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I don't know. I guess it's a good way to end out this episode.
yeah, I mean, hey, so if you're leave in the comments some popular female video game characters in honor of International Women's Day. I'm sure there's a lot that we missed, like Aloy and Ellie from Last of Us, and
Aloy, Ellie. We're probably gonna get some random guy who's pissed off at us for mentioning Ellie.
You mean Abby? Everyone hates Abby. That's the one that everyone hates.
Ah, yeah, true.
But still, like, a somewhat well written character, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, leave those honorable mentions to Chloe Fisher and is it Chloe Fisher? No, it's Elena Fisher, and then Chloe from Uncharted. Both of those are also by Naughty Dog. They know how to write some characters, boy.
Talk about how much.
But yeah,
talk about how cool you think Maya LaFay from Ace Attorney is.
Man. Shout out to the OG assistant out there.
Susanna.
That's best girl.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that wraps up this episode, don't you?
Yeah. Let's take us home.
All right. Thank you all for listening to today's episode of Whatever Whenever. Episode 19, I think.
God dang.
Dang, we're almost at 20.
We should buy a cake for the 20th episode.
We should. Two
cakes.
We gotta do it on the 21st episode. We gotta take a shot. And I'm gonna not like that.
So we gotta take shots on the 21st episode, and then sip White Claws after that, because fuck you, White Claw, for not sponsoring me like ages ago when I was asking.
Yeah.
But no, if you told me now, I would still accept you. Don't worry.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll end it for today's episode. So see y'all later.
Bye. Peace.
All right.